Alright guys, let's get started. Today I want to share with you how to create paper lashes. Now, an entire strip if you choose, accents, and with different papers that you start off with. So let me go over what we're going to be using for today. So I went ahead and this paper here I just put, again, just to avoid the flare of the light above. If you want, this is a pink cardstock. Definitely want to make sure it's cardstock just so that whenever you start to curve your lashes, the paper will actually hold the curve and it won't fold. It'll bend but not fold. It's paper so it'll fold, you know what I mean, but it's just cardstock's best. So we've got pink here. Then we have black. Okay, this one has a little bit of texture, which is fine. This side's flat. So if you don't like the texture to the paper, which you can't really see unless if the light reflects a certain way, then you'll be able to see it, but not really. But if you don't like texture, just get regular the flat black paper, no texture. Okay, this of course it's cardstock. Or if you don't have any color, you just have white paper, that'll do just fine. This particular one is cardstock, but if you have just regular paper in a pinch, that will work as well. Now, if you don't have colored paper, and if you need to create your lashes to match a particular look that you're doing, let's say you're doing unicorn, and let's say this is your nail polish color or your lipstick color or eyeshadow color or hair color or whatnot, and you want this particular color but you don't have the paper, just take your white paper, and what you're going to do, you're just going to color it, right, before you cut. So it's paper. You want to make sure that the paper is a nice thick paper, so if you're using paint or markers or whatnot, it does not wrinkle or crinkle your paper, okay? If you use markers, you want to make sure that you have nice even layer of ink on your paper so it's not like all streaky. But color it, and then once it dries, then you want to, because you had several layers, then you want to cut over it. Draw your lash and cut it, and then, you're good to go. Only thing, you want to make sure to do both sides of the paper. You don't want to, when I say streaky, this is what I mean by streaky, right? You don't want gaps and you don't want the marker lines. So you want to make sure that you're consistent with your marker strokes, okay, and the amount of time that you're going to go over the paper. Now, because it's ink and even cardstock, especially cardstock that's a little bit more thin, it will bend and get a little weak in the middle, especially when you do the second layer. So just pay attention to that. Let it dry before you start doing your lines and cutting it out, okay? But there you have it. You got your color on both sides. You want to make sure you do both sides because you can do the top color, but when you curve it, you'll definitely see the bottom curve of the paper. And another thing is once you cut it, you want to do the side. So you just want to run your marker on the edge of the paper, okay, whenever you're doing it, after you've cut it, just to make sure there's no white peeping through. You can spray paint, you can paint, you can crayon, matte pencil, marker, ink, nail polish, colored hairspray, it's paper. So whatever you need to match your hair design or your makeup look on your mannequin or your model, you can do, okay? So of course, if whatever color you need, we've got to do my bend for my lashes. I have a thin marker. You can use scissors. You can use your fingernail, but I'm going to use a marker. I've got scissors. You want to make sure that your scissors are nice and sharp, long, preferably if you're going to do long lashes. That way you don't have to go in and cut and make cut lines that are squiggly. And you want to make sure that they're nice and sharp. Okay, so to take care of your scissors, you always want to have a guard on them. And these here are just paper scissors. So whenever you're getting crafty with all of your stuff, especially for competition, you want your lines to be nice and clean. So you want to use good scissors, and whenever it comes to scissors as a hairdresser, you're very particular about your shears and your scissors, and become shears and become scissors. But you're very particular and protective because of them, because they're so expensive. So any crafter would know, you definitely take care of your scissors. Okay, so these are just cutting scissors and cutting for paper and soft things like that. Okay, have that, and then I have some tape, and I have a lash. I'm going to show you how to stack your paper lashes on top of these, and then I have my mechanical pencil. I want a mechanical pencil because I want the lead to be really nice and thin, and then because this is kind of has a well sort of to it, it's a little dip, it's going to be a little difficult for me, so I have my little glue stick here that I used in the previous video. I'm going to show you how this ended up, and then also how to work off of this curved surface in case you are stuck with a little tray like this and can't really get in there, and you don't want to put this on a flat surface because then you won't have the curve anymore. You could cut it, that is an option. Okay, before we get started, let me go ahead and say, when you do this, I forgot to mention in the previous video with our creating our strip lash with our lash tabs, make you a little ear. So take your tape and fold it. That way it's a lot easier for you just to pick the tape off, okay, whenever you're ready to remove. So I'm going to go ahead and take my string. Now, it has not been 24 hours for my lashes, but I'm going to go ahead and peel. So I'm going to pull off. There we go. And then there's my strip lash. Okay. Put it right there so you can see it. I did not shape them. I did not cut them. But you can definitely see the white, because the glue dried clear, you can see the white string. So we talked about that in the previous video. So I just wanted to show you how that turned out. So then you just cut that and you're good to go. Okay. Now you could layer on your paper lashes over this. You can layer your lashes, these lashes, over your your hair lashes that we've created. So you can use all of these techniques together to create whatever look that you need for your competition model, your competition mannequin, or for your model for your photo shoot that you're doing, should that be what you're doing. Okay, for your portfolio making, of course, your portfolio building. So that was that technique I wanted to show you. All right, so then those are all the supplies that I need for today's video. So let's go ahead and get started with our technique for today of how to create paper lashes. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the basic, which is the black. I'm going to basic, right? I'm just going to take how I want the longest of my lash to be and the width. So if this were the lash I'm doing, right, I'm going to eyeball that because it's obviously not a straight line, this curved line. Take a piece. Say I want them that long, and then I'm going to cut like so. Doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Now from here, I want to add, now this is a pretty short lash, so I'm not going to add something too crazy long because this might not support it, so it might be a little heavy. But I'm going to go ahead and add from here. So I'm going to go, oh, this way is fine. Okay, I'm going to go and create triangles. So go all the way across. And then I'm going to come in, and I'm going to stop a little at the base, maybe a good centimeter to start. And I'm going to cut my triangles. I'm going to create my lash points. Okay, I'm going to save these. I'm going to show you in just a minute another thing that you can create from this. Now, how you create your design is up to you. How thin, and I guess I'll do different so you can see short to long and different directions here. You want to really get in there. When you pull on that tip, you sometimes leave behind a little bit of paper. So make sure you get in there all the way with your scissors, even if you've got to cut a little extra. Okay. And you really just go at it and create what you want. There's no right or wrong. It's just according to the look you're going for. Okay. All right, so let's say that that was my lash. Okay, that last one may be a little too dramatic there for me. Okay. I'm going to save these in a second. Okay. So let's say that this is my lash. Okay, of course, obviously you want both sides to match if that's what you're going for. So this then is your pattern. So you then would take the back side, right? And I'm gonna leave it, give myself some space. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut from here. Doesn't have to be perfect, okay? And I'm going to take my tape. Now, I don't want tape that's going to leave residue behind, so this is scrapbooking tape. So I'm just going to, which comes off very easily. I'm just going to go ahead and I cut it a little too long because I want it to be on the inside, so I want to be able to cut the outside corners. So I'm going to go ahead and place my tape here. Okay, I'm going to do on both sides so I could have like this. Okay, I want to make sure my bases are even. Okay. And then I'm going to match it. So I'm going to take my scissor, and I'm going to push my blade, okay, next to my line. I have to be careful not to cut my already created line. Okay, I want to make sure to follow it as best as possible. Okay, take in, put your scissor in, place it, and cut. And you can do all one side first, then come back and do the other is fine. Just watch the tip of that scissor so you don't create a new line. You want to follow the previous line. And if it's not perfect, it's not that big of a deal because you really won't be able to tell unless if you're really looking at it. So, or maybe unless if you're taking a photo of the model or the mannequin that's really up close, then you'll really be able to see it. So you just have to be a little meticulous with it if you're being a little bit more picky. But if not, just as long as you're pretty close, you should be good. Okay. All right, and so then that's how I match my right and my left side. Let's save those for a minute and just a second. I'm gonna use them. Okay, so two ways I'm going to show you. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to peel off my lash. Oh, wow, that really did stick, didn't it? I lied. Wow, this is a pretty strong tape. Washi tape usually does not do this, but of course it would do that. No big deal. Then we'll use that as the bottom part. Okay, so here are my lashes. Okay, here is if I'm putting on myself, right? This lash is going to be on my left, and this is going to be on my right, like this, right? So I'm going to put this here and this here, okay? As far as my lash sides, what goes where it goes. Okay, two ways I'm going to show you, okay? This here's a little thick. The band is thick, okay? If I'm going to be putting it on here, it covers the whole lash, okay? So, and plus this is a curved line and this is a straight line. So you're going to cut this in half or into threes. I'm going to show you in just a minute, okay? And the band, this is too thick, so I'm going to take it and I'm going to cut it So do you see how we have the peak right here? Okay, we're gonna just give it just a small enough where you don't cut, ooh, I almost cut that one apart. Where you don't cut it apart like that one I almost did, okay? You don't wanna cut the little triangles apart, okay? You wanna keep them together, but you don't want the band to be too thick because then it absolutely covers the bottom. Now understand, these lashes are just because it's what I had for an example. I would use something a little bit bigger for something like this. I would do this kind of lash like that, okay? Layer that up. Maybe even a little bit smaller for the blue. For this might be a little bit too big, but this might be a little bit too much for this lash here, okay? Just a little bit. I would buy a lash that has more longer length here just so it could support this, okay? So here we go. Now, if you wanted to create a one entire band like this, and you're just going to place it on top of your strip lash, then you can do that. Just instead of doing a straight line, you can do a curved line. Okay, so something similar to this. I don't want to do too much because then I need to show you something on this one. So I'm barely going to curve it, but you understand, you can curve it more. That way you can put it on there. Okay, I need that for something in a second. So from here, what I'm going to do, okay, is obviously because this is straight and this is curved, I'm going to cut this. Either you can cut it down the middle or you can cut it into threes. So I'm going to cut mine particularly into threes. And you want to cut it at the actual V shape, okay? So I'm going to take my lash. If I can't place my lash on here, whoops, because this is a this tray will get in my way. What I'm going to do is either you can cut the tray, but I don't want to cut the tray because I want to save it. I'm going to use this tray for my salon build. I'm going to put my lash here. Okay. Now I want my lash to come here and I'm going to place it. Now, do understand that this is paper and the glue may stick to the paper, so you've got to be careful. So I'm literally now, I'm literally sticking the lash onto this paper by the base on the back side, not the bottom of the lash and not the top of the lash. So it literally is sticking out. Can you see that? Okay, to whereas this lash up here, the bottom of the lash is what's stuck onto the paper along with this one. This one is the back side of that band, okay? Because what I want to do is I want to lay my paper on the top side and I want it to get glued just to the lash, not to the paper, okay? All right, so put that to the side. Okay, I'm going to take my 3 lashes here, okay, and I want to bend my points. Now when I cut it, I accidentally made this like little bump here. You can see that little piece right here on the side. So you can cut that off if it bothers you like it bothers me. And then once you're good and gravy with your lines, then we roll. So you're going to take your marker, okay, and then you're going to take the lash, paper lash, and you're going to roll it over the top of your marker because you want it to curl. Now, if this is smaller, so maybe like on this particular marker where it's thick to thin, you can use the thick part on the longer sides of the lash and then the thin parts on the smaller lash. If you needed to, you could even get a Q-tip and or like the phone cord is really thin. You could use that as well. Just you need something curved just so you can curve your lash. You can use your finger. You can just grab the paper and just squeeze your nail together and just curve it like that. Or you can use this scissor, like as if you're doing ribbon. Just grab the paper and you're just going to curl it. Just be careful because it's paper, you don't want to rip it. And so that gives you, sorry, I was out of frame there. You put the scissor in there and you just curl it like so, okay? And then that gives you a nice little curl. Let me stand up here. See, it won't stand, there it goes, okay? But I'm gonna go ahead and curve it with this right here. Like that. Give me a nice curl. Now, because it's cardstock, it's going to do very well. Now, if you're in a pinch and you need regular paper, that will work as well, except for it doesn't roll as nicely. So just FYI. Okay, so now that I have my 3 pieces, now it's time to glue. So I've got my lash and the back part, not the bottom of the band and not the top of the band, the back of the band. So it's literally perpendicular to the surface of this curve here, okay? It's stuck on there. So then I'm going to take my glue, and then I'm going to add, now again, this is the only glue I have at home, the other stuff I have at school, and it's completely, the ones that I had were completely dried out that were black, so I couldn't use those, so I'm using just this. Okay, you can use a glue gun should you choose. If you're gonna do it on a project, it's fine. If you're doing this on a person, which paper lashes are a thing. I learned mine from Trixie. She's a drag queen, and I've learned a lot of stuff from her. I want to share a video, but she had a lot of bad words in it, so it wasn't school appropriate. But I learned this from her, and she did a really good job on it. So along with stacking lashes, that's tomorrow's lesson. But so I forgot the point of why I was saying that. But anyway, okay. Oh, the way she did it. So you can do paper lashes on an actual lash that you're applying on a person. Or just on a mannequin, okay? Because she did hers and she applies paper lashes over her false lashes, and it just gives it that extra pop, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So this is the inside of the nose, this is the short, this is the longer piece, okay? Just pushing them down a little bit. I want to glue, I'm gonna start on the outside. I want to glue into 3. So depending on where you want to place it, if you want them to be together like this one, then place them together, or you can put them separate. So I'm using the white glue, which is iridescent, but it will dry clear. So I'm going to place it, and I guess you can use tweezers, you don't have to, over the top of the false lash. Now, it does not have to match up perfect. You just don't want to go past, can you see that? You don't want to go past your strip lash. Can you see that? There you go. You can see better. So you want, it's a little bit of the hairs of the strip lash on the end. Okay? See that? All right. Ooh, perfect. Oh, okay, nothing happened. It's because this glue, this paper here is not flush. Now it is. Okay. All right, so you want plenty of glue there. So the black glue, you really doesn't matter how much glue you use. You really need plenty so it'll stick. But you're not going to be able to see it because it'll be black and black and black, so big deal. But again, if you're using pink paper or something like that, then you definitely want to make sure you use the clear glue. Okay? All right, so the next one is the middle one. Grab it like so. I'm going to add some glue. Oh, and you can use a glue gun, hot glue, whoops, should you choose. But just be careful if you're going to put that on someone. Okay, so then obviously glue gun this to the lash, let that dry, and then put it on your client with regular glue. I'm going to put this one on. We're going to layer it up. Push it down using the back part of the tweezer. Now, on the corner there, I overlapped it right here. So I'm not sure if you can see that. If I get it, this camera is not the best. If I get it too close, you can't see, it's blurry. But right there in that corner is where I overlapped it. Okay. Kind of maybe push that a little bit closer. There you go. The glue will remain tacky for a little bit, so you have some time to play with it as far as pushing it in and manipulating it. Just don't take too long. And don't manhandle it too much because then it'll start to fall apart. From the bottom, you want to take the back of the tweezer and push your lash, the regular lash, upwards. Now, I wouldn't say that you should do glue paper lashes on natural lashes. I would say just use the paper lashes on a strip lash and then add the strip lash to the natural lash once it's dried up and all that good stuff. All right, got my last bit here and I'm going to overlap that slightly. I'm going to wet my lash, make sure it's on there good. I overlapped it. I've got a little bit of hair left over here on this side. You can see my little hairs on both sides. You can see it here from the bottom. And then there's my lash. Look how much drama that creates. Very nicely done. So once this is completely dry, there's no glue that's touching the paper. No glue. But because let's say this one's just on there. If I were to pull this apart here, you know, it's gonna get, it's flimsy, right? It doesn't hold its shape. So I want to make sure that the glue is 100% dry before I pull the paper lash off. Because if not, then the lash strip is going to come apart from the paper lashes. So you want to be aware of that. No glue is touching the paper. Can you see that? This one's pretty close, but it's not touching it. Okay? It's literally sticking out like a perpendicularly, right? It's like a nail on a board, right? Straight out. So that is one way on how you can apply the paper lashes to a false lash. Now, let's say that we're adding the same technique, right? But they're going to be really heavy. I'm going to clean my glue, close it up before it dries up on me. The lashes are going to be really heavy, okay? So what I need to do is I need to give it a good band, this part right here, which I gave it a little curve, okay? I want it to have a nice thick band, okay? So for that matter, okay, now I'm going to use these lashes. Now these lashes are going to be a little bit long for this, but we're going to work with it. So like, give me a second while I pull this off. Whoops. I don't know that I'm going to be able to pull this off because it's stuck on here with hot glue. Let me cut it off. I shouldn't be using the scissors. Let me grab the other scissors and pull this off. Okay. So I'm going to be demonstrating with these lashes, the blue ones that we created. Okay. I'll just trim them a little bit. And then we're going to put these over the top of those. Well, the length is pretty okay. Maybe just cut it just a little bit. Okay. All right. So if these had a little bit more curve, these would be awesome on it. Okay. So it's got a little bit of curve here. We cut a little bit of curve, but I want it to really have a good strong base. So I'm gonna wrap this around the paper around my lash. Whether you made it or it's a lash strip or you made the lash strip, what we're going to do is we're going to make little cuts. Now we want to make sure we got plenty of band space right here underneath our spikes. And you just want to create like a quarter, maybe half a centimeter, and you've got these little flaps, yeah? So then what you want to do is you want to fold the little flaps. Now because it's a curved surface, okay, you're going to be able to apply this a lot better. So see my little flaps there. So I'm going to fold them back. Wait, this is my, yes. Fold them back because they're going to go this way. So I'm going to fold my flaps backwards. So just pay attention to how, and I think this is about to fall apart because I cut that one a little too close, but it's okay. All right, so here's my lash. I bent backward. You see that right there, the little flaps. What I'm going to do is I'm going to glue, insert, okay, my lash. It's got the paper stuck on there. Whoops. Can't take that off, but it's okay. I'm going to glue, I'm going to insert this lash in here. This would be thinner, except I had that extra glue because I glued it on that paper. So see how it kind of hugs it? It's on the inside, okay? So I'm going to use my glue, and then I'm going to glue that together, okay? All of it. And I have a nice curved line that I'm working with, and I have a nice strong base, the band, okay? So let me go ahead and roll my lashes. I don't want too much crazy of a roll because my lashes are pretty flat. But I want something. Now, I don't have my hot glue gun plugged in, and then this glue would take forever, but I guess let's go ahead and glue it. I'm going to put some, sorry, on this one. I'm going to put the glue on the inside. And again, you can use your hot glue. If you use your hot glue, whenever you smash it together, be careful not to burn your fingers. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this. I'll just put it in the middle. Obviously, it's not the right length, but it's okay. Or you know what, I can cut it. So this is not going to dry anytime soon because this will take a while to dry. But here we go. Here's my lash. Okay. So then I have my false paper lash along with my real, well, it's not real, but my other lash. Now, if this was maybe a little bit shorter, I think this might look a little bit better. So let me go ahead and trim that up some. And there we have it, okay? It's obviously going the opposite direction. It's not glued all the way down, okay? But you've got your false lash, and then you've got your paper lash, and then you've got your false lash, okay? Now again, you can make them or buy them. That's your choice, okay? So we'll put that one off to the side, and then let's move on to our last option. My fingers are nice and sticky. So we're going to take this lash. Now let me take this string off here. Or you know what, let me just move the lash. Just move the lash right here. And again, I'm going to be pushing the lash perpendicular. I just want to create, which way is this going? Oh, the length is over here. I'm going to turn it this way. The long here is on this side, the short's on this side. Okay, so the band is glued onto the curvature of this surface by the back of the band, not the bottom of the band. I can see the entirety of the bottom of the band. Can you see that? And I can see the top of the band. It's the back of the band that's glued, that it's stuck on there with. So I'm just going to push it down a little bit. And then what you can do, all these little pieces that we cut, you can cut pieces like this, okay, of your choice and length and all of that good stuff and thickness. And you're going to take each one and you curl it. Curly curly or barely curly, that would be your choice. Sorry, I'm getting too far out of frame over here. Okay. Like so. Okay. okay? You create as many of these as you wish, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and go with the long one. I'm gonna keep it really long so you can see it. So I'm gonna add a good amount of glue on there. I'm always gonna leave a little bit of the natural fibers from the strip lash on the end there. I'm gonna smear the top of my lash with the glue, and then I'm going to just add my false lash on the top of, I'm going to add the paper lash on top of the false lash, like so. You see that? See how it's creating that length? Very nice. Now, this paper is not that heavy, but some paper gets really heavy, especially when you add a whole lash like this. If this strip lash is too thin or too short or too flimsy, your lash will flop down. So you gotta make sure you have a good base, which is a good strip lash. Okay, then we're adding another. So you can just do accent pieces. So I'm just gonna skip it around. I'm gonna add my glue over my lash, and I'm gonna place, my fingers are sticky, y'all. Why you should use your tweezers. I'm going to place my paper lash over the top of that and push in. Okay. It's a little extra curved. I didn't curl my paper enough, looks like. That's another thing too. If your lash, your strip lash has a particular curve, you need to make sure that your paper lash is just as curved. If not, it's not going to work out. So let me curve this one a little bit more. It's better for it to be overly curved than not curved enough. And I have glue everywhere. So it'd probably be good. I did have a nice little damp cloth or piece of paper. Okay, so those are my two. I'll do this last one here. Okay, so I've got 3 lashes there. Okay. And then you can come in and do your accent pieces. They can be as teeny tiny as you like. So I'm just going to take this one for example. Okay, I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to curl it. Okay, so see how thin that is? It's very thin. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom. And then I'm going to put it in between. See that right there? So you can create whatever design you like or you choose, including the length, the color, all of that good stuff. Doesn't have to be like something specific. You be creative in how you want to create that design to match your mannequin project. So see? Whoops. Did not adhere all the way yet. Okay. All right, and you can just continue going so you get the gist. All right, so that is how you create your paper lashes. Super fun, super exciting. Same thing, you can add colored pieces if you were to do your purple. What I wanted to also show you was when you do your lashes, if you don't want to freehand it, you can take your pencil, like let's say this is the bottom side of the lash and this is the top side, the pretty side. Well, obviously it's opposite because this, you can see those streak lines, but draw the line on the bottom part of the lash so that way you don't see it. So then you can even curve your lines if you choose, however you want your design to be. And then you can come in and cut it out, okay? You can paint it different. I've seen lashes that are like flames that have like 3 different colors on them. So it's endless possibilities of how you can create your lashes, and it's really neat on how you can accent your lashes just with a little paper lash just to give it an extra flair. Obviously, this is a fantasy type project. It's not something a client is going to walk out of the salon with or go down the aisle with, because that's just not, or a typical bride is not going to have that. Okay, so the glue will dry, you won't see it. For extra support, you can do 2 lashes for stacking, which will be the lesson for tomorrow. So check that out, and then you can put all this together and start trying to see what you're going to want your project to look like, your lashes that you're going to create. Have fun with it and start getting some ideas, taking a look at that Pinterest, those 2 Pinterest boards I have there linked in Schoology for you, called Wink Wink, and the other one is called Bat Your Eyes. All right, well, thanks for checking this out, and excited to see what you guys come up with. See you on the next one.